You're listening to Environmentally Speaking, a weekly podcast diving into legal matters surrounding the environment, public utilities, energy, zoning, and permitting laws in Rhode Island and the surrounding areas, with your host, Marisa Desitel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Environmentally Speaking.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marisa Desitel, an environmental attorney here in Rhode Island.
And I'm Clarice. I'm coming in with questions, topics, things we want to talk about. I actually, not to sidetrack us, I very recently was told a family member had listened to the podcast and said, oh, Marisa really comes in with a lot of facts and background and she really knows what she's talking about. And I was like, well, yeah, she's an environmental attorney. That's kind of her jam. And then my family member looked at me and was like, you're just there for the color, huh?
Oh my
It's not wrong.
Are you going to have to see these people at Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yeah. And that's fine because I have a podcast and they don't. And all
Will
I
there
have
be
to do
alcohol?
is be the color.
I don't. Yeah, I would say alcohol is necessary for that interaction. Stop it. You provide more than color.
I like the idea of being a personality.
You're the lifeblood of this podcast. I'm just a stuffy old attorney made out of mahogany. Everything I touch is mahogany. But let's also share your recent exciting news right in time for Thanksgiving.
We have been, I was just, before we record, Marisa and I usually chat for a little bit.
We do.
I had been for the past several months, and thank you for still being my friend, because all I did for several months was talk about how our home was under construction. And we decided to DIY a huge part of our house. And literally last night, barely 24 hours before Thanksgiving, we finished all of it. And I'm thrilled, but
you're happy with the outcome. So it wasn't like a rush job studying for finals at 2 a.m. with a pot of coffee kind of thing.
No,
Good.
No. Yeah. It took a while because we wanted to do it right. We had a vision. It needed to happen. And if it took so long, so be it. It was exactly what we wanted. But man, we're down to the wire.
That's wonderful, though. You're gonna have a nice Thanksgiving in your brand new kitchen, dining, living room. Are you hosting this year?
I am. I host every year. I'm so excited to start prepping tonight and like starting to cook in the kitchen and use it. I'm thrilled.
I'm thrilled for you. Congratulations. Nice work. And it's beautiful. I mean, for anyone that's real interested in the other side of Clarice that I find fascinating, it's her artistic, creative, decorating side. For those of you that look at our videos on YouTube, you can see the wallpaper that Clarice has behind her in her home office. It's fantastic. And she hung it herself. So if the podcast comes to an end, maybe you can continue on with a DIY kind of YouTube channel.
Yeah. Dear listeners, do you have a space you want me to repaint? It'll be as wild as my background. And for this week's topic, we're kind of putting the tree before the turkey. We're getting ahead of ourselves. It's still holiday related. We're talking about Christmas trees.
We are. And the reason that I thought it would be a good topic to talk about today is because it's Thanksgiving week. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to work.
No.
Even me. I own the business and I feel as though I'd rather be home making pie or thinking about pie. And I don't even like pie that much. So I thought that talking about a topic that I'd classified as light would be a good idea. Now, Clarice does not agree with me that this topic is light because it is negative. I'll grant you that. It is a negative thing. But it's light in terms of it's not a lot of legal heavy lifting, and the people will be interested.
And I will say, in your defense, it is timely because really everybody I know at least has dug out their Christmas decorations. They're ready to put up their holiday sort of decor and do all of that. And the only folks who haven't done it yet are the folks who are hosting Thanksgiving and need the space.
Me.
Yeah. If we didn't have to host Thanksgiving, I'd have my tree up and out. So this is the weekend for it.
I agree. And I think this episode will air after Thanksgiving. So you're getting a post-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas set of facts. All right. So what the hell are we talking about? Recently, I received an email from a local news outlet, newportri.com. And I apologize. It's my laptop is now establishing a secure connection, even though it was secure 30 seconds before this moment. But the topic comes from the Newport Daily News at newportri.com. And it has to do with what's happening on Aquidneck Island, which is where my office is located and where I live. Aquidneck Island is made up of Newport, Portsmouth, and Middletown. The three towns on the island are experiencing issues as a result of severe summer drought. Mm-hmm. And the impacts from that drought are being felt apparently on the island by Christmas tree farms. Mm-hmm. What? I mean, how do those two things, what are you talking about? We had a drought in the summertime, so now we've got an issue with Christmas trees? Yes, folks, this is the reality of climate change. This is the reality of global warming. We have very severe seasons now, and the impacts from one season will be felt in other seasons going forward. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think going to the article, specifically, they had mentioned Clark's Christmas tree farm in Tiverton. I grew up in Tiverton, and this farm has been around for long before I've been. I don't remember a time when kids weren't going to Clark's right around Thanksgiving time to get their Christmas trees. And sadly, they have decided to close for this season, and simply because of this drought.
Yep.
I mean, this is such a simple and silly thing to say, but if your trees aren't growing, you can't sell them.
You've got some real business savvy with that statement.
To think. I was an arts major instead of a science.
So basically, you can't go to Clark's Christmas tree farm as a result of global warming. I mean, that's what it's coming down to.
Yeah.
It's one of those things for me where I have a science background. So from a biological perspective, it makes sense to sit down and think about, okay, you've got a poor season. It affects crops. Christmas trees are considered an agricultural crop. Mm-hmm. But taking a step back from the science, there's still a part of me that feels surprised, because don't Christmas trees take a few seasons, a few years to fully mature? In my mind, if that's the case, then it's more than just the drought from this past summer that's impacting this Clark's Christmas tree farm.
I think so. I'm wondering if it's the idea of they had a bad season, so the trees weren't able to mature to that selling height. You know, it may be possible that if we drove by Clark's farm, there would be like 3 and 4 foot trees versus the 5 and 6+ foot trees that people are looking for.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it has to do also with once there's an impact to a species in one regard, it has a trickle down effect in that same species in other regards. The example that I'm thinking of is with plants. If there's a drought and they're not getting adequate water, or it's not sunny enough and they're not getting adequate sunlight, then the plants are more susceptible to disease. They're just not healthy. Mm-hmm. I wonder if some of the Christmas trees were still maturing and growing. The drought hit this summer and the trees fell ill for another reason.
That could be it. Yeah. I just looked it up, and to grow, the average grow time for a 7-foot Christmas tree is somewhere between 7 to 10 years.
Damn.
Right. That is so much longer than I thought.
So these poor farmers might have had a viable crop that would have been eligible for harvesting this year, but for the drought this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Oh, that's such a bummer for these farmers, and just such a sad thing to hear about just the kind of state of affairs. We're at a point now where businesses and farmers are having to make announcements that crops that were planned upon and relied upon aren't going to be happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's not something that's new for farmers, but I think because a Christmas tree is something that we get locally and something that we do get right from the source versus going to the grocery store for our food, that might be why this is such a surprise. Because if a farmer had a big setback in, I don't know, Brussels sprouts, we're not necessarily going to know that because we go to the grocery store and there will be Brussels sprouts from somebody else, from somewhere else.
Or yes, and maybe they'll be more costly.
Yeah.
But people don't necessarily associate the increase in cost with something like a drought or other environmental factor, climate change. They just know that it affects their wallet. Yeah.
And this is
are we, do you think, going to experience this again next year? Or did it seem like we just had this crazy drought and it's not going to happen again for a while?
My guess
and choose wisely, because I'm going to hold you to your answer next year and I'm going to ridicule you if you're wrong.
I think, okay, I'm going to risk it on the off chance that I'm right and I get to ridicule you back. I'm going to say that next year there will be Christmas trees. We won't run into this issue, but the trees will be smaller. There will be something different about them in that respect.
You said abnormality?
I think so. I think they might have.
No, that doesn't work for me. You know why?
No. Why?
It's not defined. Anything could be considered an abnormality.
Yeah, I'm preserving my right to ridicule in the future.
Nope. Reject.
Offended. All right. I'm sticking firm with they're going to be shorter. It's going to be harder.
I accept
it's
that.
It's going to be harder and more expensive to find a tall tree.
Okay.
People are going to settle for shorties.
There's nothing wrong with a shorty.
I think short people are adorable.
I'm 5'3". How dare you? Hey, listen, one more resource that I came across when I was looking at this article about Christmas trees. The federal government maintains a website that you can go to check on the current status, last week's status, and last month's status of your state and your particular location's drought conditions. So when you go to this website, you can look at Rhode Island, and then it's got the state divided by county. You can then click on your county and it'll give you a report on current conditions, last week's conditions, last month's conditions. So just kind of a neat resource. I didn't know it existed. If you are interested in knowing more about your particular location's drought status, I recommend going there. The website is maintained by NOAA, and an agency of federal government that I've never heard of. The acronym is NIDIS, and it stands for the National Integrated Drought Information System. Drought.gov, DROUGHT.gov. So check it out.
Yeah. And I think this might be a good topic for a follow-up episode is Senator Jack Reed has put in a request to declare parts of Rhode Island a natural disaster area due to this drought. So maybe we could talk in a future episode about what does that mean? What does it look like?
Yeah,
How
what
does that
happens
work?
as a result of that designation?
All right. Well,
You should know, as a parting thought, 0 people in Newport County are affected by drought right now. And
that's good.
I can get notified when that condition changes. I could sign up for alerts. Alert, someone is affected by drought in Newport County.
I would love the alert of one person.
One person. And who is it?
Exactly.
Karen.
Karen, just turn the faucet on.
That's right. Well, happy Thanksgiving, Clarice. Congratulations on your completed kitchen, living and dining areas. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And question for you. Are you
Yes.
a real tree or faux tree person?
Oh, real.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Interesting. We
yes.
are a faux tree household.
Okay.
The smell of pine gives me such an intense headache. We just opt for a faux tree.
Wait a minute.
I don't love that smell.
You have issues with your sense of smell, don't you?
I do. I have very, very limited to almost no sense of smell, but for some odd reason, I haven't lost my aversion to the smell of pine. Like you'd think I would lose the bad with all of the good. Like, sure, I can't smell fresh baked cookies, but at least pine doesn't give me a headache. No,
Oh my God.
I still get a hell of a headache. So,
well, I'm sorry to laugh at you, but that's funny.
Listen, man, I'm here for color.
Okay.
Any comments, questions, topics, follow-ups? What kind of tree? Are you a faux tree or real tree household? And if so, what is it like to go get your Christmas tree? Tell us about what that looks like this year. Hit us up on the socials. We're at Desitel Law on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to email us, you can email us at help@desitelesq.com. We're also on YouTube in case you want to see that wallpaper Marisa was referencing earlier, and you can leave a comment there.
It's worth it.
If you want to get us a Christmas gift, which I know you've been thinking, God, what do I get these gals? A review. Write us a review. Leave us some good stars.
A good review. We don't want any of that negative review
nice.
Stuff.
We'll ignore you if you're mean. But we wish all of you a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I hope it is stress-free and full of all of your favorite foods. So have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Environmentally Speaking. If you're in need of an environmental attorney, we are here to help. Call us at 401-477-0023 or visit our website at www.desitelllaw.com. That's www.desautellaw.com.